Young workers can face a large amount of troubles in the workplace. Issues that can persist include being underpaid, not listened to, and taken advantage of while doing the exact same work as their older colleagues. 493,000 young people aged 16 to 24 are currently employed throughout the UK. Hourly rates in the workplace stoop as low as £3.90 for under 18s, with apprenticeships generally paying the lowest wage. The 2019 National Minimum Wage ensures that young workers are paid a stable hourly rate, but there are still some limits on their earning potential. There are many other issues that young people can face in the workplace, such as not receiving correct training or being made to work over what is contracted or legally their hours. I wanted to find out more about young workers' issues, and a great way to do that is through trade union education. A trade union is an organisation of workers working towards a common goal to ensure that people know their rights. This is why I am at TUC, a national trade union centre based in London, for the TUC Young Workers Conference 2019. TUC, also known as the Trade Unionist Congress, helped to support over 50 trade unions in the UK, bringing them together to discuss trade union issues. At the Young Workers Conference, trade unions could propose motions, which is a formal proposition for change in a specific area.
Conference zero-hour contracts take similar advantage of young workers, with many offering only minimum wage jobs with little opportunity to advance. These sorts of jobs are exploitative without guaranteeing certainty or security. My work as a waitress saw an extreme lack of guarantee and certainty, with my boss threatening to fire me on several occasions. One of these occasions occurred after I had called in sick with bad flu, where I should not have been working around food. Unfortunately, as I didn't know my rights and didn't know when next I would be working, I had no choice but to follow her orders. Conference, this happens all too regularly with young workers, when they are threatened and taken advantage of as they do not know their rights as workers. This must change, and this is in the interest of all unions to protect young workers and support them and uphold them. When considering that many of these jobs are minimum wage, it adds insult to serious injury. I call upon the TUC and its affiliates to campaign for urgent and meaningful action by the government to address the problems surrounding a better pay deal for students, which offers protection and support for young workers across the country. As a worker affected by exploitative practice, working in minimum wage, zero-hour jobs, where some weeks I would work no hours and others I would work 60, the toxic environment must change. Young workers are an important part of Britain's workforce and they must be respected as such, starting with fair pay and support. Thank you, Conference.
I just wanted to say, from my own experience as a young person at school, I felt like I was banging my head against the wall. I had all these opinions and all this change that I wanted to happen, and other people around me, my friends and everyone else, maybe agreed with me but didn't feel like I could say the same thing. They were worried about the consequences. I then went on to an apprenticeship in my first year and struggled heavily from mental health issues. And at the end of that year, I joined to be involved with a member of the GMB where I was introduced to the GMB young members. I've met so many lovely people within the young members. I've got a really great group of friends from all over the UK, and it's totally turned my life around regarding mental health. I've got more confidence, I've had an education in how to fight back and how to move forward, and I feel like if I had been introduced to the GMB young members while I was at school, or from my first year in my apprenticeship, I would know so much more now, and all of the times that I've suffered, I probably wouldn't have, it just wouldn't have happened because I would have had that support. So I just wanted to say that I do really support this, and I hope that it goes through.
Students and young people deserve to be taught by fully trained professionals with a good subject knowledge and a passion for teaching. They deserve to be in classrooms where they know they will have the same teacher this week as next. They deserve to be taught German by someone who speaks German. They deserve to be taught mathematics by someone who's an expert, not me. They deserve happy, contented and valued teachers who will help them to succeed and excel in life. Unfortunately, not all students find this to be the case. Across the country, vacancies are unfilled, leaving unqualified or non-specialist teachers to plug the gaps in provision and stretching supply and cover staff to their absolute limits.
The GMB Young members are 16 to 30-year-old members of the GMB, which is a general trade union in the UK with more than 631,000 members, including myself. They campaign for better conditions and better rights for young members in the workplace. The GMB holds events and campaigns throughout the year to improve relevant issues not only in the workplace but also in general life. This includes their Workers Not Robots campaign that fights against the treatment of staff working for Amazon. I wanted to find out more about these issues from people who are more experienced in understanding the benefits of trade unions for young workers. So while I was there, I had the opportunity to interview 4 GMB young members from different roles and regions within the GMB, including Melanie Bartlett, the designated Young Members Lead.
My name's Javad Khan, I'm 21 years old and I'm from Yorkshire and North Derbyshire region of the GMB.
My name's Ruth Pitchford, I'm 21 years old and I'm part of the North Western Irish region.
I'm James Kavanagh, I'm 22 from the London region.
I'm Melanie Bartlett and I am 29 years old and I work in National Office as the designated Young Members Lead.
So my role within GMB is that I'm the GMB National Young Members Chair, which means that I'm the voice of the Young Members Network, which was democratically elected at our summit back in November.
I'm on the GMB Young Members Committee, and what we do is we represent young members in the GMB aged under 31 all across the country, and in my role I'm their delegate to the TUC's Young Workers Forum and their representative on the Young Labour National Committee.
This role just involves looking after young workers up to and including the age of 30. So the Young Members Network, which brings together members from all across regions, they have a summit every year where they choose their priority campaign, and then we help them take that campaign forward. Their previous campaign was about under 25s not being included in the living wage, and their current campaign at the moment that they've just started out on is organising warehouse and distribution workers in Amazon. So I help those young workers organise campaigns to try and influence workplaces for other young people. Another element of the role is to put on training and development programs for young members. We do political schools to inform our young members of why workplace issues are political issues too, and we help them understand how they can influence change and the history of the movement. And we also do a history school which runs alongside Tolpuddle Martyrs Festival, which is a festival which celebrates where trade unionism in the UK was founded. We do a history school alongside that where we do everything on talks to trade union events throughout history or working class women's history, and members go along and hear from panel talks and discussions about issues like precarious work or zero-hour contracts and things like that.
Just those small victories within workplaces all across the country. I guess it's like the collective spirit of the projects which we're working on. Just those small victories within workplaces all across the country.
It's the collective strength and the representation it provides for workers. The trade union movement represents workers all across the country, and we come together to defend each other and fight for better conditions for everyone.
I think everyone should join a trade union, from the rights that it gives you and the knowledge, just to the support when something's going wrong. But not only that, it's having the power and the knowledge to take on your managers when you know something's wrong but you're not entirely sure what is wrong.
I think it's really important for people to be a member of a trade union, but especially if they're from a disadvantaged group. So if somebody is from an ethnic minority and is likely to face racism in the workplace, there's not much that they're going to be able to necessarily do on their own, but having the backing of a trade union, and let's say somebody is racist towards you at work, that the union would be able to step in and not just sit with you in meetings and stuff like that, which is a great help, and you need that kind of support in the workplace. But if there was anything that went any further, that actually the union would be able to support you legally in taking that case forward and taking your employer to court if you really needed to, if you'd face that kind of discrimination. If you're a member of a union, at least you know you're protected, as in if your job was if they tried to cut your job while you're on leave or something like that, then the union would step in. It's not something they're allowed to do, and there are loads of workplace rights that people have got. The issue is people don't know about them and they don't know how to enforce them, and that's the underlying thing, that trade unions are experts in the world of work. They're there to ensure fairness. It's not about, when I think a lot of older generations have this idea that trade unions are quite fiery and oppositional, and they remember the miners' strikes, and Actually, we're here to ensure fairness. Like, we have workers' rights, we have legislation in place, and all we're doing is making sure employers stick to it. Like, it's all about ensuring fairness, and we will try, where possible, to work with employers to find a solution that works for everybody. Doing is making sure employers stick to it. Like, it's all about ensuring fairness, and we will try. The advice I'd give to somebody who was joining a trade union would be, first off, find a union that represents your industry. So if you're a musician, join the musicians union. We're a general union and we'll have everybody, but if you've got one that's industry specific, that will serve you much better because you will have experts in that area of work, and therefore that will be the best union for you. Another thing is find out about what the unions are campaigning on. So all different unions will have different priorities, and it's always the members that decide on what those priorities are. So you'll be able to find out which union is one that is speaking about the issues that matter to you most, what those priorities are. So you'll be able to find out which union is well, I mean, it's easy for anybody to join. Anybody could join online, and it's just a matter of joining a union that can represent your interests. So GMB is a general union. Literally anybody in any industry can join. But also, if there's a union in a workplace that already has recognition with that employer, we wouldn't advise people to join GMB. We'd say go with that union because they're best placed to negotiate your better pay terms and conditions on your behalf than we would be. But most of the time, young people are not in places where there is a recognition agreement in place. And what a recognition agreement is it's an agreement between the trade union and the employer in which they will work together to resolve workers' issues. And if most of the time, young workers are not covered by recognition agreements, and therefore, actually, people could just join us very easily online or get in contact for a membership form.